Hello, my name is Gabby Saragusa, and this is my museum project presentation. Um, since I wasn't able to attend the Art Institute in person, I looked through the different exhibits, including ancient Egypt, ancient Rome, ancient Greece, Byzantine, and the Middle East, with their online galleries. I have been to this museum many times over the years, living closer to Chicago. It was easier to find what I was looking for from what we learned in this class and the past visits I've had. So I'm going to start on some background information on the Art Institute. So where is the Art Institute located? It is located in downtown Chicago, right by Grant Park, which was founded in 1879. And they house art all the way from the ancient times to modern art. They are famous for holding pieces from world-renowned artists such as Van Gogh, Monet, and Renoir. And some other information, they also have a school called the School of the Art Institute of Chicago, and it was built during the Chicago World Exposition in 1893. So I'm going to start off with my first artifact and exhibit, which is in ancient Egypt, which is the funerary masks or the funeral masks that were made in 1st century BCE to 1st century CE. It is made of cartonnage, gold leaf, and pigment. These were funeral masks that protected the head and chest of a mummified body. The details of this mask present a version of the person, ensuring they would continue to live after they die. This signified the Egyptian culture's value on the soul and protection of it. It was made of cartonnage, gesso, gold leaf, and paint. We learned about Egyptian burial rituals and early river valley civilizations. Next is ancient Egypt still. This is the artifact of the overseer Shabti of, I'm not going to pronounce that because it is, I do not want to mess that up, but it is, was made 1096 BCE to 945 BCE. This was a high-ranking female member of the royal court during Egypt's third intermediate period. This is an overseer figurine. Shabtis are small funerary statues used to represent workers for the dead or servants. This artifact is meant to supervise the other worker Shabtis. It shows the belief of the ancient Egyptians that social status and work ethic would continue into the afterlife. We learned about the afterlife beliefs of Egyptians as well as their hierarchy. Next, we're going to move into ancient Greece. This is the amphora. This existed 400 BCE to 301 BCE. This is the Greek amphora. It was a clay jar that had two handles and was used for holding oils, wines, and other liquids. This particular amphora was created using the red figure technique, which involved painting in red and carving out details on the jar. Many different types of amphoras depicted daily life and give us more understanding of their culture, religious beliefs, and their stories. This artifact shows how the Greeks expressed their culture and beliefs and values through art and how they lived from day to day and trade. This shows the key parts of ancient Greek life and culture. Next is still ancient Greece. We're going to move on to, it's called amphoriscos, which is a smaller version of the amphora that had served as a container for storing both olive oil and perfumes. This version is a perfect example of the black figure technique, similar to the red figure technique, which has a lot of detail compared to others at the time. This artifact signifies the importance of trade, personal care, and the relationship between art and real life. This shows how objects from the past can be used as a reflection of people's day-to-day lives. In ancient Greece, they placed a great deal of value on beauty and craftsmanship. This shows how trade and different interactions between civilizations, since many of these small jobs were often exchanged throughout the Mediterranean Sea. Next is going into ancient Greece as well. This is Lycaithos, around 400 BCE. It was an oil flask, specifically. These were commonly found in tombs as well as being used in burial rituals. They were connected to the belief systems about the afterlife as well. It depicts the Greek black figure technique, also described beforehand, and has many fine details about the lives of the people of ancient Greece, their religions, and art. This type of art allows us to have a better understanding of the way ancient Greeks lived and what they valued. The Lycaithos gives insight into how ancient Greeks honored the dead, how important rituals were, and the role the art played in both the lives of common people in ancient Greece. Next is ancient Rome. This is an artifact of the portrait bust of a woman. This was depicts a Roman woman specifically of the 1st or 2nd century AD, and was created by Roman artists who really emphasized portraying as accurately as possible the facial expressions and hairstyle of their subjects. Busts such as this one were also representations of a person's wealth, family heritage, and ancestry. Wealthy Romans typically placed them in their homes or in tombs as a way to express their families and their honor. This provides evidence of Roman culture, customs, and class structure. It represents the way in which Romans portrayed their own identities, social status, and values. Next is another artifact from ancient Rome. This is the flask in the shape of a date. It is made from a glass with the mold blown technique. It resembles a food known as the date, created by the Greeks, and it appears that this object may have been used as a container for oil or perfumes, so it would have served as an everyday purpose while still remaining creative even during this time. They are often objects of use as work of art, showing their ability to be creative and detail-oriented when creating smaller items such as this. It demonstrates the combination of function and art that many everyday objects had in ancient Rome. Also, these jars played a big role in trade and daily life, which gives us insight into the economy and social life of ancient Rome. Next is another of ancient Rome. This is relief fragments depicting a winged woman and 2 deer. These ancient Roman relief fragments go back to 1 CE to 100 CE, created with stucco, pigment, and gold. A relief fragment are carvings that have different images or figures sticking out from a flat surface, and a fragment is a piece of a larger work. There are different meanings behind these types of artifacts, but a common one can represent and symbolize protection, mythology, or royalty. These were typically used for decoration in palaces and would show a ruler's wealth and power. This shows how art could convey power and how rulers communicated with their people, and how these symbolic images could play in both everyday and political parts of society. Next is Byzantine. This is a mosaic fragment piece with man leading a giraffe from the 5th century CE. Mosaic fragments are parts of a complex mosaic, a picture created with many small colored stones that were most likely placed on floors or walls in wealthy homes or in public buildings. This particular one shows a man walking behind a giraffe and may have been part of a story being told through decoration. Byzantine mosaics often were used to tell a story, decorate the space, and symbolize wealth. The use of many different colors and the intricacy of it shows the quality of craftsmanship of the artists at the time. This demonstrates the transition from Roman times to an early Byzantine Empire. These types of mosaics demonstrate how during that transition, the arts, religion, and culture blended together. It also provides insight into the early Christian influence as well. And lastly, this is the artifact from Middle East section. This artifact is an example of artwork from the Middle East from the late 13th century, early 14th century, which includes designs of animals and trees, which is called bowl with tree, fish pond, and animal motifs. It would be surrounding a fish pond. This type of bowl may have been used as an item in the time for daily use or as part of a ritual ceremony. The artistic designs on bowls show that even the most simple everyday objects were created with such detail and creativity. These designs let us see how people in the Middle East viewed their relationship between animals, nature, and symbolism. This also shows how the early civilizations in the Middle East had a way to add art into the day-to-day lives of people and express their beliefs. And this object was seen to be made in Iran, made of lusterware, fritware with blue and turquoise underpainting, with luster painted over glaze. Okay, so in conclusion, the Art Institute online catalog featuring their artifacts really did a great job in informing me about the knowledge behind the piece I was learning about. The museum in itself is very versatile, dedicated with different sections of pieces dating very far back in history. The information I was learning was easy to understand and could be easily understood to people who may not know everything about the piece they're looking at. The see-through glass of the exhibits did show how fragile these pieces were in these different time periods and to protect them. The museum in general has a great layout that spans all the different time periods and art within its walls. And that is all I have for this presentation, and I hope I've informed you about this museum. Thank you.